Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It's time for coffee and Cursey words. Are you ready? I'm ready. We have a lot to talk about today, and then I am going to go have a fall day with my family because my parents are still in town. But we have a lot of topics on the docket. Topics on the docket. Topics on the docket. A quick update with the Gabby Petito case. 90-day fiance Geoffrey Paschel has been convicted. There is a large Tesla employment lawsuit that we are going to touch on. Triller takes an L, and some updates about the more lawyers that are coming for Erika Girardi's neck. So we are going to talk about all those things today, but by way of a quick warning first, these stories with particularly Gabby Petito and the 90-day fiance Geoffrey guy do deal with topics of domestic violence. It is October. It is not only Breast Cancer Awareness Month, but also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I put resources down in the description. I am not going to go into the details of the assault that led to the conviction in the Geoffrey Paschel case. That information is available on the internet, but it can be tremendously triggering. It is very sad. So we are absolutely going to talk about the conviction, the trial, and the sentencing that's going to be coming up. But those resources are down below, and we are going to talk about it a little bit. But just so you know, those two cases in particular can be very, very triggering to those who have dealt with domestic or relational violence, and we're just going to talk about it. So good morning. It's time for coffee and Cursey words. I have my coffee. I have my Cursey words. I have my I Love Cursey Words shirt. I have multiple Lawnard mugs. Don't worry, Lawnards for the tumblers. If you are waiting, all of my lovely Patreons, I've been updating you over on Patreon. We are shipping these. They are coming out. So they are on the way. They are just, look, we are doing them. So they are just us. So we are taking our time and they are getting sent out. So you will be getting them. Do not fear. It's just taking me longer than I expected. And yes, I have feelings about today's court of public opinion. I have feelings, but that's okay. That's what the court of public opinion is for. So we should just get into it. It's great to see everybody coming in. Let me know where you're coming in from, and we're going to roll. Let's roll. Let's roll. Let's just do it. It's Tuesday. Let's go. Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the Cursey words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery. We've got the Viper in the house. Hello, friend. And I see you guys coming in from all over the world. I saw Korea going by. I didn't have a chance to ping it, so welcome. I saw you guys from all over the world. And if you guys already voted in the poll, I have put up the poll. I'm going to go from the poll, and we're going to go in order of the poll. So good morning, everybody. Morning from foggy Chicago. It's foggy here too. And Dan, the man who edits my podcast, got stuck in Chicago due to weather yesterday and is hopefully on the way home. So hopefully the podcast will be live tomorrow on time. I think so. Fingers crossed. It's whatever. We're professionals here. It's all going to be fine. But tomorrow's podcast, well, let's go to the poll first. I'm going to go end the poll. It looks like, so when I put up the poll at the beginning of the stream, I put up a poll asking what topics in the weekly roundup, or not the weekly roundup, today's quick bits, in the quick bits you were looking forward to hearing. And 53% of you said the Gabby Petito updates. Then it looks like Triller and 90-day fiance. And then a lot of you are just like Tesla, who we don't care. It's an interesting employment lawsuit, so we are going to talk about it. It is a $137 million fine. And the way that the jury broke down the amount of money, I think is really helpful in other cases that we talk about how those types of fines work and how those types of verdicts work and the different types of damages that they award. So we are going to talk about those different kinds of damages real quick with regard to that Tesla suit. And maybe we'll just do it first because everybody's like, yeah, I don't care. Y'all are like, that's so rude. That's so rude, but it's fair. Thank you for the super chats this morning. Watching from the beach, sporting my facts hat, and getting passed by someone who said, "Hello, fellow law nerd. Fall break fuckery for the win." I love it. And if you guys ever see me out and about, always say hi. I am often in my facts hat. We will be honest, but I love seeing law nerds in the wild, and I love it when you guys get to see each other. It's just such a nice way to start a conversation and be like, "Hey, I'm a law nerd too. Which case are you most interested in? What do you think? Did Erika know?" Because I know that's what a lot of y'all are talking about. Next question was, can you do a video or a snippet and a live about the lawsuit that plaintiffs submitted their amended complaint as a comic book? Because why and how? Lynn, I have not heard of that. There are lots of sassy lawsuits. We might have to do a sassy. I'm going to just make a note for sassy for a fun stream. Like sassy litigation that's ridiculous. There is a judge who wrote an opinion in iambic pentameter about horses. I believe it was a DUI on a horse case, and it started off with "a horse is a horse, of course, of course." We might have to just do a dramatic reading of that, but I will absolutely look for a amended complaint as a comic book. I'm making a note because that sounds amazing. You know, if anybody would know, it would be Ricada Law. I'll ask him if he knows because this is right up his alley. I think he has a comics channel. I don't know. I don't know if he has a law channel. No shade to Ricada. It's a comics channel. It's an anime channel. It's a whiskey tasting channel. No, I think Nick is hilarious. So, you know, it is. We don't always agree on the way we say things, but it is what it is. Making handmade tortillas in Florida. Delish. Handmade tortillas are the best. All right. Just coffee. Just coffee. So, everyone, good morning. Thank you for being law nerds. Thank you for being amazing. As we jump into some difficult topics, it is tempting to want to just lambaste some of the people in these cases. And we always try to keep it classy. We try to keep from diagnosing people, from calling out people, calling names of people, from wishing people harm and things like that. And as we get into some of these cases today, it is going to be difficult because I have feelings and you have feelings and we all have feelings. But there is a difference between somebody being an asshole and wishing them harm or diagnosing them as a sociopath or whatever it is. So I appreciate you all because it just makes the job on the mods easier, because I do ask them to make sure we're not diagnosing people in the chat because it goes off the rails really fast. And when there's thousands of us in here, it can be difficult. So on that, we're going to talk just real quick about Tesla in the breaking down of this large litigation and this large lawsuit over racial harassment at their factory, which is always a bad thing. However, there are, you know, this is why there's lawsuits. When you report things up the chain, I should swoop. We should swoop. We should swoop because we're just getting into it. It's time for Quick Bits. We have 3 Quick Bits stories today. Let's get to the first one. Quick Bits. I feel like that's our new Quick Bits intro. What do we think? Do we just, yes. Yes, that's how we do Quick Bits now. Quick Bits. Quick Bits. It's Quick Bits. I don't know. We'll find it. It's going to be different every time. That's just going to be the way that it is. This comes to us from Law 360. You know, I enjoy their reporting. Most of the people that write for Law 360 are also attorneys, so they look at things in a legal way. They also bring us the forms, which I love. So you get the whole verdict form, which we'll go through in a minute. We haven't had a case, and this is part of why I wanted to talk about it. We haven't had a case where we've really gotten to go through a civil verdict form and take a look at what that looks like. And I try to bring cases that educate and bring a little deeper look into the legal system. And this case is one of them. You also know I drive a Tesla. I love my Tesla, but there's no place for a company that you stand behind or a company that you enjoy to have this kind of racially hostile environment going on in their factory. It definitely changes the way you look at a company. It's like, ah. So we're going to talk about the case real quick. A California federal jury awarded $136.9 million to a former Tesla subcontractor who is a Black man, due to the fact that he was subject to a racially hostile work environment at the electric vehicles Northern California facility or their factory, and that the company was responsible for the ensuing harm. After less than 4 hours of deliberations, the jury determined that Tesla Inc. subjected the former subcontractor Owen Diaz to a racially hostile work environment, and that Tesla was his joint employer. Why does that matter as joint employers? So he was a subcontractor hired by a company, and Tesla hired the company to bring in subcontractors. So when you have that, who the employer is for terms of litigation can be is legally determined. Whether somebody is just hired by the hire out company, the company that hired the contractors, and then Tesla hired the company, or whether Tesla became in essence also their employer. And if if Tesla was also one of their employers, then a lot of the restrictions on workplace and a lot of the rules that apply to the workplace then apply between Tesla and the individual, allowing the individual to not just sue the company that was contracting them, but also to sue Tesla as a co-employer. If you ever work in companies where you are hired as a subcontractor and then placed in different jobs, you have to look and see what your contract says about whether there are co-employers or not co-employers. And that's why it matters. It's actually a pretty important distinction for a case like this to go forward. If they had found that Tesla was not the co-employer, then they couldn't have sued Tesla. They could have only have sued their contracting company that hired them and then hired them out. So they found that the supervision of their employees, Tesla's supervision of their employees, was part of the problem. The jury awarded Diaz $6.9 million in compensatory damages, $4.5 million for past emotional distress, $2.4 million for future emotional distress. The jury also found that the conduct was malicious, oppressive, or reckless, awarding an additional $130 million in punitive damages, quote, to get Tesla's attention, Alexander told Law 360, and that is Diaz's attorney. The punitive damages, we've talked about this. Everybody in the chat who has been here before, and if you're new to the chat, go ahead and say one that you're new to the chat. Everyone who's been in the chat before knows that the punitive damages are the punishment ones. So in civil litigation, you can punish a company by awarding amounts of money that might actually hurt and make them think twice about not changing these policies or practices or continuing to do the same thing. So punitive or punishment damages. This was a week-long trial. Diaz testified that he suffered emotional distress after he and his son were both called the N-word by coworkers and supervisors, and that complaints to management failed to end the harassment. So people were using racial slurs, hate speech, hateful racial slurs, and then it was reported, and then nothing was done about it. He testified that the scene was straight from the Jim Crow era, and then let's see, there was more on that, but then they go to talking about the jurisdiction. So we're not going to get into the whole jurisdiction of the thing, but when several former Tesla subcontractors who had heard the slurs used in the factory testified, Diaz also took the stand recounting the persistent racial harassment that went unabated despite his complaints to his supervisors. And this is different because when you go to a supervisor and the supervisor does nothing, your company becomes responsible in a different way. How this is going on in a workplace in the 2020s or at all is still just mind-boggling to me. Like, what the fuck is wrong with people? Like, why are you harassing someone based on their race? Like, seriously. And why isn't the company immediately firing people who are using racial slurs in the workplace? Like, how hard is it to be like, oh, what did you say? Oh, there's these multiple people who heard you say it. Oh, the person who you said it to is also complaining. Oh, okay, you're fired. Why? They also said that there was a racially offensive cartoon in the factory depicting a dark-skinned person with big lips and a bone in their hair with a caption that read "boo." And after that, and continue, they called it a bungled investigation by Tesla. His harasser received a suspension and a warning. He said the other complaints he made were not properly investigated and resolved, and a jury agreed. So look, a warning to all workplaces. It's not hard to not be a dick. Look, as the workplace, look, you cannot control what an employee says out of their mouth in a moment, but you can control how you as a company respond. And companies, there's no reason that a company can't have a zero tolerance policy for this. Like, this is just not, it's not acceptable. People should be able to go to work, not just as who they are and not be harassed for it. And that goes for, uh, this is this is not just a racial thing. This also happens with sexual orientation, sexual identity. We know this, but this shouldn't be happening. And hopefully a jury verdict of this size is a signal to employers that juries are not going to put up with this. Like, juries are not tolerant of hate in the workplace and of a racially hostile work environment. Apparently, Tesla had no written procedures for coordinating investigations into racial harassment involving contractors and did not provide standardized training to supervisors on how to conduct investigations into racial harassment. I wonder if they had policies with regard to sexual harassment or policies with regard to other types of harassment. Because if they didn't have one with race-based harassment, did they have any harassment policies at all? And it makes you wonder if they did or if they didn't. So they also talked about more racially offensive cartoons. Like, what supervisor is using racial slurs and drawing racially offensive cartoons at work? Like, first of all, who has the time? And second of all, who are you thinking? What are you thinking with all of this? Just good God. So I'm not surprised that Diaz, the individual who was the target of the harassment, quit their work at Tesla. The jury definitely held Tesla responsible. They say, or the attorney for Diaz says, Tesla has been able to get away with, Elon Musk has been able to get away with basically saying that he's above the law and can get away with whatever. And so this will be an example to other companies that they can't get away with it. There were no settlement offers. There were no efforts to resolve the case. They basically decided that they were going to pull the wool over the jury's eyes, and the jury saw through it. Look, we don't always, there are times people don't understand jury verdicts. I get it. But a lot of the time, juries do get it right. Not all of the time, but a lot of the time, juries get it right, and they see through bullshit. And that's what happened in this case. Let's look at this verdict form real quick and then move on. But, it takes a lot for an individual to go through the entire process, to go through a trial, to take on a company with unlimited funds. And I'm glad that he did. I'm glad that he said, you know what? Instead of just quitting, and a lot of people would choose to just quit in a harassing work environment and move on. And I completely get it. It is stressful to take on a large company. Taking on a direct supervisor has emotional ramifications. It can cause a tremendous amount of anxiety, stress, and medical problems. And I've seen that happen for friends who have left hostile and abusive work environments. It takes quite a lot for someone to move forward and actually sue a company like this, and then to go to trial to sue a company like this. So, this is not easily done. And I just wanted to point out the kind of the courage that it would take an employee to take on a company of this size or of any size. It's the same when we talk about the Blizzard harassment, that the state stepped in because so many employees were afraid of being completely outcast from their entire industry. Less likely to happen in manufacturing, but in gaming, the Blizzard employees were afraid to sue because they would essentially become those people who would never be able to work in their chosen industry again. So they left the company and then moved on to find other employment. And the state of California and others the feds as well, stepped in and said, oh, this is fucked. Look, it is just so frustrating. So hostile work environments do still happen, but I think juries are less likely to blame the employee than they were in years past. A lot of times, and you still see this. I mean, there's still attorneys that take digs at me like, oh, she's a legal commentator on YouTube because she couldn't handle it. No, boo, that's not what that is. But you still see there is a dying attitude of, oh, good morning, Fred. There is this kind of old, outdated, dying attitude of, oh, the employee must be too sensitive. The employee is not able to handle it. The employee is the one at fault. No, the harassers are the ones at fault. The ones who support abusive workplaces are the ones at fault. And jurors are changing. Jurors are more aware that this is not on the employee. This is on the environment and on the workplace. And when an employee complains and you don't see any resolution, then yes, the employee doesn't have a ton of options. Fred knows that I'm mad. Fred knows that I'm mad. Look, we're not putting up, we're fight the patriarchy today, Fred. We're fighting. We're fighting. We're fighting this bullshit of, oh, well, the employee just couldn't handle it. No, workplaces need to change and are changing, but lawsuits like this will absolutely continue to change them. So let's go through this verdict form real quick because we don't get to look at verdict forms all that often, and I'm entertained. That's why, because we finally have an example of a great verdict form. So let's just talk about this verdict form. Owen Diaz versus Tesla. Was Owen Diaz subject to a racially hostile work environment by Tesla Inc.? Yes. If answered yes, proceed to the next question. If answered no, proceed to question 4. This is a civil verdict form, but verdict forms in criminal aren't so dissimilar. They try to make them very easy, but it's like a choose your own adventure of verdict, isn't it? Was Tesla Inc. a joint employer of Owen Diaz? Again, the jury had to find, oh, Corey, it did bing, but it didn't bing today. It binged, I don't know. I think it binged while I was at the Rolling Stones. We'll talk about that when we get to questions for sure. Was Tesla a joint employer? Remember, the jury had to determine if Tesla employed this individual or if Tesla just hired the company that subcontracted this individual, Owen Diaz, to their company. And they found that Tesla was a joint employer, which means then some of these other things we move on to. Did Owen Diaz prove all the elements of a hostile work environment caused by a supervisor? Yes. And they give the little instruction there. That's so helpful. It's like, here's the instruction that defines it. This is a great jury verdict form. We love this. Hostile work environment caused by a non-immediate supervisor or coworker. Instruction number 23. Yes. Answer next question. Did Owen Diaz prove all the elements of liability based on civil rights violation in a contractual relationship? Yes. If you answered no, go to question 3A, 3B, and 4, skip to question 5, and proceed to question 6. But they said yes. Did Tesla Inc. fail to take all reasonable steps necessary to prevent Owen Diaz from being subject to racial harassment? Clearly. So they said yes. Instruction number 34. Did Tesla Inc.'s negligent supervision or continued employment of Ramon Martinez, the supervisor, cause harm to Owen Diaz? Instruction number 35. Yes. If you answered yes, go below. Damages. And then they wrote them in. The jury gets to pick. Damage. Somebody has very neat handwriting. Look, whoever was the foreperson filling this out, get it. Because the handwriting on here is way better than I could do. Let's just give credit where credit is due there. Damages, instructions 38 through 41. So they get jury instructions. They have those instructions in the jury room, and then they decide the number. They get to pick. What past non-economic damages did Owen Diaz sustain as a result of Tesla Inc.'s unlawful conduct? Non-economic damages are more of your emotional damages. Economic damages are like had to leave work, had to quit their employment, like actual tangible money things. This is for kind of those non-tangible things. 4.5 million. Go to next question. What future non-economic damages is Owen Diaz likely to sustain as a result of the unlawful damage? 2.4. Punitive damages for civil rights claims, the punishment ones. You may only award damages for reasons discussed in instructions number 40 that is, if you find the defendant's conduct that harmed the plaintiff was malicious, oppressive, or in reckless disregard to the plaintiff's rights. And I think based on the stories that we've seen coming out about this, he reported it to multiple supervisors and the company did nothing. I don't think it's hard for a jury to say that's a reckless disregard. The company did nothing. They didn't move forward with terminating the person. They didn't move forward with doing anything other than suspending the person, and they didn't stop the harassing behavior from happening. This is not one comment. This is a pattern of harassment based on the way that this is outlined in the article. Do you find a preponderance of the evidence? And that's a civil standard. So there's a sliding scale of standards, and like beyond a reasonable doubt being like the highest standard you have to meet. And then it kind of goes down from there based on, how much evidence. So preponderance of the evidence is a lower standard. It is a civil standard. Do you find by a preponderance of the evidence that Owen Diaz is entitled to punitive damages against Tesla Inc. for either creating a hostile work environment based on race, violating civil rights in a contractual relationship, and or failing to prevent harassment based on race in the workplace? And again, based on the way this is written, it seems that failing to prevent harassment based on race in the workplace is a pretty easy thing for the jury to find. It was reported, it went unchecked. It was reported, it went unchecked. That is pretty easy to find that they failed to prevent. And then you don't even have to look at the other things, but the jury can. It can find one or all of those things. So the answer, yes. What amount of punitive damages do you award? $130 million. Fuck you, Tesla. This is not cool. When you reach your verdict, the jury foreperson should sign and date this form and contact the jury deputy, Ms. Davis, October 4th. Brianne was the foreperson, signed it, has the neatest handwriting I think I've ever seen. And, that is as valid reason as any to pick someone as a juror foreperson. It's like, who's going to fill out these forms? Because a 4-hour deliberation is pretty fast. And I bet you a lot of that 4-hour deliberation, speculation on my part, just based on my experience and talking to juries after trial, I imagine a lot of their conversation in those 4 hours was trying to figure out the amount of money, not in trying to figure out what they did or didn't. I imagine that the conversation about whether this was a hostile work environment went pretty quickly for them as a jury, and then they were trying to figure out the numbers. So, it just is. I like my car, but it doesn't sit right knowing that the people who are making things that I love are subjected to this kind of work environment. That's never what you want. So there you go. Chrissy K asked a very, very good question. Yes, you are allowed to talk to the jury after if they want to talk to you. Lawyer story time. Especially in the early days of doing jury trials, you talk to the jury a lot to get feedback from them, how they decided things, what they wanted to see, what they didn't see. Sometimes the jury just wants to ask you about your shoes and your hair and your makeup and your water bottle and your skincare regimen. All of those things have happened to me. I wonder if they do that to male attorneys. Like, no shade. I don't know. I think female attorneys are a little more sparkly most of the time. There are some very sparkly male attorneys, don't get me wrong, but I've never asked any of my male friends, like, do jurors ask you about your skincare after trial, or if that's just something that happens to me. But you do get to talk to them afterwards about the case and if they want to talk to you. Oftentimes in misdemeanor cases, it would be both myself and the defense attorney, and the jury would say, look, this was important to us. This wasn't as important to us. We liked this. We didn't like that. Sometimes I would have other attorneys on my juries, not often. And they would be like, well, I like it when you did this, but I didn't like it when you did this. And I like the way you said that. And I didn't like the way you said that. And I'm like, ugh, y'all, I am not a super formal attorney. I talk to my jury like they are my people. And super formal attorneys are like, well, I wouldn't do that. Oh, so it is what it is. All right, we need to move on to our next topic. Y'all, my mom has Zoom jury duty today. That's going to be, I don't know if I'd want to do trials on Zoom. Like, you need to, it hits different over a screen. Like, you need to feel the energy of the people that you are with. You need to see the witnesses to evaluate. I don't know how you evaluate well testimony over Zoom, but that's just what it is. All right, y'all, are we ready? Let's move on to our next story. That was Tesla and their $137 million L in court for not handling their business, and they should have handled it better. Absolutely should have handled it better. Good morning, Netherlands. All right, what were we going to do next? there was a poll. I already forgot. We were like, okay, we're going to talk about Gabby Petito, 90 Day Fiance, and then we'll do Triller. Then we'll do Girardi. So we're going to just move from heavier to lighter as we go. So let's real quick talk about, I'm writing down my timestamps because it's me today, because Tech, who normally does my timestamps, is working today. So I do my timestamps on Tuesdays. So if they're off, it's totally my fault. Just blame me. I forgot to say hi to the replay crew. If you've gotten this far, replay crew, I know you're still here. Love you. There will be timestamps when I'm done. So let us move on to those quick updates. And they are quick updates from me. So with regard to the Gabby Petito case and the still at large Brian Laundrie, I have an episode coming out tomorrow where I talk about the case more. It's an episode of the Emily Show. It was the most comfortable way for me to do it. I've talked about this case hitting a bit close to home, not only from personal experiences, my personal life and people that I've lost, but also from working as a district attorney and being with victim families and how much it brings that up for me. So for me, talking about it live isn't always my preferred plan. Talking about it to death is definitely not my preferred plan. I like to give updates where I can be helpful, where my experience as not just a lawyer, but a DA can be helpful, but without, I don't know, every single moment of every single speculation being torn apart on the internet just doesn't feel right for me in this story. And we've covered other stories closely with, some other cases. It's like, oh, there's a new filing, let's talk about it. But those were not nearly as heavy as this. So again, today there is a press conference at 12:30 Mountain Time. For all of you who are international and are like, you get your shit together with these time zones, US. I get it. I didn't look at the UTC. I'm sure someone can put 12:30 p.m. Mountain Time in the chat, but 12:30 Mountain Time is roughly 2:30 Central Standard Time. And hopefully that'll help you find it UTC. That'll be after I'm done streaming. I am going to watch the press conference from the coroner. This is just the coroner's office. They say they are releasing the final autopsy reports. We do not know how much information they will release. They will, at a minimum, release the time of death, the date of death, if not the time of death, the date of death, hopefully the cause of death. They've already released the manner of death. Again, manner of death and cause of death are different. Manner of death is a designation by the coroner's office. There are 5 of them, which are, natural, died of natural causes, accidental death, suicide, homicide, and undetermined. So homicide being at someone else's hands, suicide being at one's own hands, and then accidental being an accident, natural being, natural. So that press conference I will be watching. I will share initial thoughts on Twitter and Instagram at the Emily D. Baker. I am not going to stream it live and break it down live. I would like to process it to bring you the takeaways from it that are actually helpful and not just reiterate the press conference or go, oh my God. Because again, that's not helpful. And it's not tea. This is the final determination of death of a woman whose life was cut short. And it seems at the hands, it was ruled a homicide at the hands of someone else. So tomorrow's Emily Show episode will have an update of my takeaways from this press conference and what it means. Just remembering when you're looking at the press conference, the things I'm looking for in particular are date of death. We did see the indictment with regard to Brian Laundrie saying that he used that access card on August 30th and September 1st. We know he was back in Florida September 1st. So I will be very interested to see if they state a date of death, because I don't know. So I'll be interested to see. Other than that, law enforcement is not a part of this press conference. It really seems that it is just the Wyoming coroner releasing the final autopsy. It seems that they have not released Gabby's remains back to her family, and hopefully that will be done after this information is released. I would imagine, just based on my experience, that they have already talked about these findings and released these findings to Gabby's family, so that this will not be the first time that they are hearing this over the news, because that could be very traumatic for them. Mountain time plus 6 hours equals GMAT. Okay, so mountain time plus 6 hours. So whatever, 12:30 p.m. plus 6 hours. Thank you so much for the help. So tomorrow will be a breakdown of kind of the timeline of this case, my thoughts about this case and what comes next, and then the legal parts of it too. The fact that Brian Laundrie's family can't be forced to talk. I've seen questions about if Brian Laundrie's attorney knows where he is. Can they be forced to talk? No, they can't lie to law enforcement, but they can decline to state. And so I talk about some of those things. So that is what it is. Lucia here said, I don't understand why this information is given to the public. Can you explain? In high profile cases, they tend to, and this happens in celebrity cases too, they tend to release the information. I don't think they're releasing the written, I can't imagine they would release the documented autopsy report. Those are very long reports and very thorough. I don't think they will list out all of that. I think they are releasing the final findings from the autopsy report, not the actual full document of the report. But it is a case of national and international interest. And in those cases, they often do release the findings, but there is an ongoing investigation. So I imagine that they will couch all of what they say and probably will not get into super, super detail. If you guys want to follow this case more closely than I am sharing information on it, Brian Enton over on Twitter and the news network he's with, which I had not heard of before this, News Nation, I think is what it says here somewhere. Where is it? He shared his station, or the station he's working with. I mean, his implies ownership, but the station he's working with will stream it. I believe it is News Nation or News something. My apologies. News Nation Now. There we go. Lots of ends. I think his Twitter coverage of this has been fantastic. He's brought in information from not only one of the state's attorneys, this guy here, whose name I'm totally blanking off, Dave Ehrenberg. Dave Ehrenberg is the head prosecutor in Palm Beach County. He's their state attorney. He's been giving great information and answering questions too. I think very much like a prosecutor because I am a former prosecutor. So it's been interesting watching him break down from a Florida perspective and then also talk about the law in general. I think this coverage has been great. So if you guys want to follow actual reporting, factual reporting on this case, I think Brian has been doing a fantastic job. Their News Nation Now is going to stream this. So I'll put the link in the stream here so you guys have it. They're going to stream the coroner's press conference. So I would just encourage everyone that wants to watch it live. I will be done here and you are welcome to go find it there and follow Brian on Twitter. I'll also be retweeting that. Well, we're just going to retweet it right now. I'll also be retweeting this. If you want to follow my thoughts on it, it'll be on my Twitter at the Emily D. Baker. So he's the main news source I've been following on this case too. He's interviewed police, he's interviewed FBI, he's interviewed lawyers and the state's attorney for that county. So he has really absolutely been, covering it with journalistic ethics and integrity. And when something's a lead, he shares like, this is a lead, we're not sure where this will go, or this is the speculation. He, I think, has done great reporting on this and has tirelessly been covering this case and has started sharing on his Twitter other cases of missing individuals who need to be found. I will also, on tomorrow's video, have a link to the Gabby Petito Foundation that her family has set up to really assist other families that are searching for missing loved ones. So I will be linking that down tomorrow in that video. And I'll probably just add it on this video too, because, the more, the better. And her family is trying to make sure that no other family has to feel the way that they felt. And just from my own experiences and my own conversations with victims' families, you never expect that something like this is going to happen in your family. You're having a normal day until you're not. And no one can really tell you what to do. And there are victims advocates out there. A lot of prosecutorial offices have victim witness advocates, but nobody tells you what to do after you hang up the phone from getting news like that and what you do next. What you do when you can't get in touch with your child and they're an adult and you can't find it. No one tells you what to do. So I hope that other families who have been through this experience are able to join with the Petitos and just help those who are going through the unimaginable, because I don't imagine anyone can give you that information other than a family that's been there, with the type of empathy that is due to the situation and the type of just, I don't know, solemnity that is due to the situation. I've also watched Kendall Ray's coverage on this. I really like her channel quite a lot. And she has been and is always very victim focused and very mindful of victims' families. And when sharing information like this, victims' families and friends can watch this coverage, and sharing that with respect and solemnity is important to me and important, I think, in coverage of cases like this. So I will link that to down here too. And if anybody, I would say if anybody sees it, link it, but you can't because you can't post links in the chat because people use the chat to self-promote, right? Not just on my channel. This happens on lots of channels, but we don't do that. So that is going on this afternoon. That is where you can find the coverage. There will be an update tomorrow. So if you guys want to watch my breakdown of that, I will probably premiere it. I need to figure out what time my parents are going to the airport because I don't remember, but I will probably premiere it so I can chat with you. All right. From heavy to more heavy with regard to 90 Day Fiance, Geoffrey, is it Paschel? I'm probably not pronouncing it right. I don't watch 90 Day Fiance. I'm sorry. I know I love reality TV. 90 Day Fiance, it's not one of my shows. Look, there's a lot of Housewives franchises that have been very busy. And I've been making my mom watch them while she's been here, which has been very, very interesting. So let's talk about this case. We're moving from heavier to lighter. So also a heavy one. I'm not getting into nitty-gritty details. Let's just talk about this conviction. So 90 Day Fiance, this dude is also a Tennessean. Tennessee, by the way, is going to sentence him to a lot more time than other jurisdictions might. But he was found guilty of kidnapping and domestic assault. In addition to being found guilty of kidnapping and domestic assault, which is not a headline, he was also found guilty of interference. What did they call it? Let me go to my notes because it's not in this article, but lawyer notes. Interfering with, what was it? Interfering with an emergency call. It had a strange name, but essentially it is preventing her from calling the police. This is a domestic violence assault. The kidnapping is refusing to allow her to leave after that assault, and then interfering with her ability to call police. Look, if somebody says, I'm going to call the police, you cannot interfere, or you can't smack a phone out of their hand, take their phone, turn off their phone. But unfortunately, in DV cases in particular, this happens quite a lot where a phone is taken, phones are ripped out of the wall, things like that. But it is a separate charge in a lot of jurisdictions. So is the kidnapping with refusing to let somebody leave. So that's where those charges are coming from: the assault, the kidnapping, and then the refusal to let her call 911. After he fell asleep, it seemed that she was able to escape the location or the home, go to a neighbor, call police. He was arrested. Pending trial, he was out on bond. After he was convicted, his bond was revoked and he was put into custody. So he is in custody now. Sentencing will be December 3rd. He is facing between 12 and 20 years in prison without the possibility of parole. That means when he gets that amount of time, he's not going to get paroled early, which is something that is a little stricter in Tennessee than in California. I have not seen domestic violence and assault charges ever carry without the possibility of parole. There are very few sentences in California that carry without the possibility of parole. And even then, not all of the DAs, the new LA County DA doesn't agree with without the possibility of parole in most circumstances. So it will be interesting, but he will get, he's being sentenced in Tennessee. He will get the time that he gets without the possibility of parole. It seems that at trial, he argued that the injuries were self-inflicted to anyone who's had any experience, either through work that they've done, through studies that they've had. This is not an uncommon thing that they say, well, I didn't do that. But the jury did not believe that at all. So he is going to spend a fair bit of time in custody. I saw the question in the chat. Oh, what is happening? Gosh, I hate it when there are autoplay ads. Autoplay ads are the worst. Stop doing it on your website. I am never going to buy your shit if you autoplay an ad on a news story that I am watching. Sorry, Old Navy, but come on. I hate autoplay ads. Were they married? No, it looks like they were engaged from 90 Day Fiance. So the 90 Day Fiance cameras followed him as he traveled to Russia to meet his online girlfriend. During this season, some of the viewers called his removal considering the allegations, called for his removal considering the allegations against him. TLC decided not to have him on the season's tell-all special. Apparently, he was not pleased with that. He said, "I have repeatedly been asked why I would ever want to be on a show, the best show, FYI, where my life would be put in front of everyone to pick apart, especially with my checkered past." He wrote, "Well, guys, this is my past. It is my life. It is my choice. If we were all the same, thought the same, looked the same, and acted the same, how lame would that be?" That doesn't sit well with me, considering your past actions aren't making some raunchy jokes. Like, your past actions are not, well, the drug use I don't really care about, but allegations and now a conviction of domestic violence is not just like, oh, it's so lame if everybody's the same. No, don't be an abuser, maybe. He then goes on to say, "My close-up life was the only way I knew to live." My closed up life was the only way I knew to live, he continued. "I hid so much about myself, whether it be my age, my history, or even my relationships. What crazier, whacked up way could I have done it any better than busting out there with the path that I chose?" I can't even read this. "It cannot ever be reversed. Everything about me is out there for the world to see." Yeah, including your conviction. "Whether it is true or fantasy." Well, a jury thought it was true. So, "I can never go back. And honestly, I would not have done it. I would not have it any different." Well, you're going to have a lot of time to rethink that statement when you're in custody. Because I imagine 12 years without parole is 12 years. 12 years is a good time to think about all of that. So, yep. So, yep. So, yep. He just is not taking any responsibility at all. But if you watch 90 Day Fiance, I'm sure you know what he's referring to. Again, not one of my top shows. The only way I really watch 90 Day Fiance is watching Observe Logan over on the Observe YouTube channel break down the body language from 90 Day Fiance. That is the only way that I end up engaging with 90 Day Fiance. I'm also going to share the press release from Knox County here in Tennessee. Domestic abuser convicted of aggravated kidnapping. We love a headline that just calls it as it is, and that calls it as it is. Prosecutors in DA, is it Charm? Allen's domestic violence unit obtained convictions against a defendant who assaulted his fiance and refused to let her leave the resident. Geoffrey Paschel, 44, was convicted of aggravated kidnapping, domestic assault, and interference with emergency calls. Judge Kyle Hickson revoked his bond, ordered him to custody, and set the case for sentencing on December 3rd. This was a 2-day trial. It looks like a quick verdict. I'm not going to get into the details of the case. I will link this below if anybody wants or chooses to read that. Well, with October being Domestic Violence Awareness Month, I hope that this conviction shows victims that we will fight for them and hold their abuser accountable, said DA Charm Allen. Victims of domestic abuse can contact the Family Justice Center for Victim Services, and members of the community can also contact them to see how they can help end domestic violence. Aggravated kidnapping is a Class B felony. Classes of felonies, by the way, are different jurisdiction to jurisdiction and state by state. Because of his criminal history, he is a range 2 offender, also a different classification based on what your criminal history is, et cetera, different in some states than others. But Tennessee, I did not know they were called ranges. I will have to look at the different ranges. I have not looked at the ranges of offenders in Tennessee, but will if this keeps coming up. Facing a sentence between 12 and 20 years in prison without the possibility of parole. Paschel has convictions out of Blount County for possession with intent to sell a Schedule I controlled substance and possession with intent to sell Schedule II cocaine. He also has 2 federal drug trafficking convictions out of the Eastern District of Texas, which means it was a federal case. At sentencing, prosecutors will use these and other convictions to seek an enhanced sentence. So they will look for more time based on his history. So that is and I will put this in the chat if you guys want to go see it. If you want to see the press release, and you know what, I'll put it in the description of the video as well. Look, I'm doing it right now as I'm saying I'll do it. So if you guys want to go see that, you can. Thank you. So this is what it is. Again, I put DV resources down in the description of the video if you want to go see them, both the National Helpline and the National Organization for Domestic Violence, which have resources for awareness and resources for those seeking to get out of relational violence relationships. Just know that DV can be in any type of relationship at any age. We, unfortunately, when I was doing juvenile stuff, saw DV relationships in high school and younger, and it was very troubling to me. That was something, before working in juvenile, that was something I was not aware of because it had just not been my life experience. So it is always something to keep an eye on. All right. Moving on to Triller. Are we ready? You're like, yes, please. Can we just please move on to something that is not so heavy? Let's move on to Triller taking an L. We definitely need that. Let me go ahead and timestamp us at 51. Let us go. And chat, thank you for being great. A huge thank you to the mods. I know when it's difficult topics, it can be difficult because we all have very strong feelings. I know it is hard not to name call abusers, but since he's convicted, abuser is not technically name calling. It is a conviction, and it is what it is. Let's go to Triller. Triller takes an L. Things got flipped. Now we're not talking about H3 today. We're just talking about Triller and the sassy, wonderful, beloved Judge Percy Anderson out there in the Central District of California Federal Court. This is regarding Triller and Film Daily. Now, for just a quick, short exploration of Triller Film Daily. Triller is the app/company behind one of the Paul brothers and the Ben Askren fight. I don't even remember which one. Logan Paul, Jake Paul, some Paul. I think Jake Paul. One of the Paul brothers and Ben Askren. They had a fight. I think it was Jake. Whatever. And that gained some criticism, but also the fight was actually legitimately ripped off and re-aired on a number of YouTube channels. Triller sued a whole bunch of folks, including Mike, including Mike. Sued a whole bunch of different channels that had actually either streamed the fight or re-uploaded the entire fight. They then amended that complaint to fix their own name because they sued under the wrong company name and to add the H3 podcast. Then they amended it again to add H3 Productions. And then Judge Anderson was like, stop the madness. This is all improperly joined with the sassiest, snarkiest, most amazing order to show cause. The judge did it sua sponte of their own motion. The judge looked at this and to themselves went, oh, this is some bullshit. What we're not going to do is this mess. So the judge on their own motion brought an order to show cause and said to Triller, essentially, come back here and explain to me how in the fuck you think this is okay. Tell me. I'm all ears. How did we get to this decision? And then Triller was like, and the judge was like, fine, we're dismissing all of the other defendants except for filmdaily.com. Everyone else is yeeted. Triller then decided to sue the H3 podcast, the H3 production company, Ethan Klein, Ela Klein, Teddy Fresh, over alleged copyright infringement. I think that case is going to get kicked. But really over fair use, using a clip of the show to provide commentary and criticism, which is what happens on the H3 podcast. It is a commentary podcast where they use commentary and criticism. But in the Film Daily case, and this happened it's October, no, August 2 months ago. We just haven't peeked back in on the Film Daily case because so much has been happening in the other case. And there are new motions in the H3 case that we're going to talk about on Friday. But today we just did not have time for all the things. So Friday, we're going to talk more about the H3 motions that Triller filed because don't we love a Triller motion? They're flipped. Their motions are flipped just like their app, allegedly. So Judge Anderson dismissed the case. Judge Anderson was like, hey, Triller, no, what we're not going to do. So the judge dismissed the case on August 9th. In accordance with the court's August 9th, 2021 minute order dismissing this action for lack of prosecution, it's hereby ordered, adjudged, and decreed, not just ordered, adjudged, and decreed that the action is dismissed without prejudice. Yeet, yeet, yeet. Goodbye, Triller. So the Triller Film Daily case has been thrown out of court because Triller can't find filmdaily.com to serve them. Because Triller sued a whole bunch of people based on the name of their YouTube channel and had no idea where to find them. And the court was like, can you tell me why you haven't served them? And they're like, we need discovery first. And the court's like, no, you need to do that before you bring a lawsuit. You need to figure out who you're suing before you come fuck with my court. Figure it out and then go away. All right, we need more gloss, but that's what's going on with Triller. They've lost. So whatever money they spent to try to sue Film Daily and everybody else and do all these multiple, poorly written, interestingly written, terribly written complaints that didn't even allege dates. They've all been yeeted out of court. So Triller has paid their lawyers essentially for nothing. I mean, for nothing at this point. And I think this is going to happen after motions in the case with H3, Ethan, Hila, all the things. So yeah. Triller, it's flipped, and it's so flipped that it got dismissed right out of court. So yeet, the Triller Film Daily case is now ended. Yay, we're done. I know. I heard my husband wandering around. Brian? That's not Brian. Who was Mom? I just kept hearing the door, and I thought it was Brian. Y'all are loud. Tell Brian to come in here. I have a present for him. I am totally in the middle of a live stream. Yep. We sure are in the middle of a live stream. We're going to get to Girardi updates in just a second, but let's see. We're gonna swoop. We might do court of public opinion while Brian's still here, and then go to Girardi. Would you guys be okay if we did court of public opinion first? Would we be okay with it? Let's swoop. We're going to talk about court of public opinion real quick. We're going to see if we can get Dr. Badass in here for the dramatic unveiling of the court of public opinion. So we'll see. There's suspense. Hi, I'm live. Yes. Do you mind coming on camera? Great. You look amazing. They love you more than they love me. Don't worry about it. Oh. Pull up a stool. I don't know if they'll be able to hear you. We'll just speak up. We're going to do the ruling for the court of public opinion. Now, if you were here on Friday.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry. I broke the flow. Keep going.
These? He says with horror. Here, do you want to hold them?
No, I don't.
You want to touch it?
They make my teeth hurt.
What about these?
The same thing. They're like kryptonite.
So we are going to do the court of public opinion. I asked on Friday about candy corn. Now, y'all heard Dr. Badass's feelings about the candy corn. Do you want to just share your feeling about the candy corn?
You want me to reiterate what I said if people weren't listening?
I mean, you don't have to recreate it, but you can just share your response.
Is this copy and Cursey words? Oh, sorry.
Did you not look at my boobs before you walked in? Yes.
I didn't realize there was anything written on there.
It's Tuesday. It is coffee and Cursey words.
I think candy corn is just fucking disgusting.
You're gonna have to
Please.
speak up because the mic's all the way over here. Because I'm not prepared for us to stream together.
All right.
I'm gonna have to get Dr. B a mic. We're gonna have to get Dr. B
Yes.
his own.
I want my own mic. Damn it! I'm not doing anything until I get my own mic. Where's my union representative? Where's our stagehands? Where's my mic?
No, Fred.
Yeah.
Fred, bring the mic.
I am the stagehand.
Fred's the only stagehand we have.
I think candy corn is absolutely fucking disgusting. It is one of the worst things in the world. I think it is one of the worst creations. Just to touch it makes my skin crawl and my teeth hurt. And then if I eat it, my teeth feel fuzzy, like they're alive, like there's something on them
Like
that
they're
like
alive.
something has taken over them.
Feed me,
Yes.
Seymour.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to do the dramatic unveiling of the ruling from the Court of Public Opinion. Oh, grab one of the gavels.
Oh my God, can you draw this out even more?
Yes. All right, y'all. We're going to pull up the results from YouTube first and then the results from Twitter. We've got our gavel here. We've got our candy corn ready to go. For the international audience, I'm sorry. You're just rearranging my desk now, too.
Well,
Sweet.
you need
From-
room for the
I don't need that much room. For the international audience, I'm sorry that you've never tried candy corn. It is a delicious. The pumpkins are also delicious. I wanted to share the ingredients because there's sugar, corn syrup, and confectioner's sugar.
and death. And death.
So that's what it is. I forgot to do a timestamp. So we're going to rule. We're going to pull it up. We're a house divided. I love candy corn. He hates candy corn. I bring it into the house. His skin starts to crawl. He needs to itch his scalp. It makes him itchy and it makes his teeth feel like they're alive. We've learned. So that's
fuzzy and alive.
That's interesting.
You got to put the fuzzy part in.
He's a dentist, y'all, and he's like, my teeth feel alive. That's a conversation for another day
Yes.
about whether your teeth can be alive. I mean, they're dynamic, I guess. What? They have roots. The roots can die, and then you need a root canal. Like there are aspects of aliveness to your teeth. Weirdo. Okay, me. I'm the weirdo. With 12,000 votes, 57% of y'all broke my heart and said that candy corn is disgusting.
Those are my people.
Kelsey said, I chose delicious because I don't think it's disgusting, but honestly, I'm just kind of meh about it. Look, we didn't let you off the hook. There was no meh. It was either you like it or you don't.
You're in or you're out.
You're in or you're out. I'm not going to go out of my way to eat it, but if someone offers me some, I'll eat it and mildly enjoy it. I'll eat candy corn if it's there, but I'm not going to buy it on my own option. I feel like we're very intense in the way we feel about candy corn in this house. Everybody else is like, if it's around, I'll eat it, but that's fine. I'm not going to go look for it. So,
oh, wait. Someone said it's literally my favorite.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Tanu said it's literally my favorite. Flavor-wise, it's not the best, but the texture makes them addicting. The texture is addicting.
Really?
It's kind of like chewing ice without chewing ice. So for those ice chewers out there, you're just like,
See, for me, it's actually the texture is the thing I can't.
The texture is my favorite. Oh my God. This is so hard. When I started, stop it. No. When I started this endeavor, I didn't think this would be so hard to open. I have scissors. Sorry, y'all. Y'all are like, this is not an ASMR channel. Why are you crinkling that bag in the microphone? I apologize. I have scissors.
Is it going to be like a bag of potato chips now that it just explodes?
No, it's going to explode on you is what's going to happen in just a
You
second.
do?
Don't open those. We're going to save those.
Here, let me see. For everybody out there, notice that there's a slight cut right here.
What?
When you pull on those,
There is?
they open so easily.
No
And
way.
that is the easy tear tab section. Well, supposedly easily tear
It
tab
is-
section.
It is not.
Is there one on there?
No.
Oh, okay. On the pumpkins, there is a tear tab. Oh no! Don't even give it to me. Don't. I feel like I'm like a vampire. And it's
Do you want to?
it's like Charlotte.
Do you want to smell them?
No. They're awful.
Do you sure you don't want to
No.
smell?
I just brushed my teeth. I don't want them to come alive
You
now
sure?
with candy corn.
They're so good. You sure?
They're awful.
You sure?
Oh, yes, I'm positive.
This is the high quality
I'm
content
positive.
that everybody comes to this channel for.
Yeah, you shoving candy corn in my face.
They're so good. All right. Twitter poll. We had over 2,000 votes. 58% said disgusting. 41% said delicious.
Pretty close. Pretty close in
Miss Design Diva said, love candy corn, but only the Halloween version. One of my stores in my area also carries a white, red, and green version for Christmas. Blech.
Really?
But it's somehow not as good. You know why? Because red dye has a funky taste. To me, red dye has a funky
But
taste.
is the Christmas one still in the shape of corn?
Yeah, they're all
Really?
in this shape. They just have different. There's somebody shared down here on Twitter that there's like a turkey flavored one. Somebody shared a turkey one that's like a turkey dinner, but they're all shared like this. And you know what? The white end tastes different than the yellow end, I think.
So wait, is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory come alive now? We have like
Something.
gum that changes flavor, or
Something.
or like a turkey dinner.
There were different flavors when I went and bought these. There were like grape ones. I'm like,
that I love. Yes.
okay, this is Ashley. You've won Brian's heart.
Yes.
Oh, Poppycock said, found the perfect meme to describe my attitude. Open bag, pour candy corn into trash, eat a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Yes, I agree. Reese's peanut butter cup is my favorite. Will you stop putting that in my face?
It smells so
No,
good.
It is awful.
He's horrified. Anyway, that was Court of Public Opinion for this week. I'm going to are you guys heading to Tractor Supply?
Yes, let's tell everybody that we're going down to the local Tractor Supply.
There were turkey flavor. Well, enjoy the Tractor
Yes,
Supply,
thank you.
but will you tuck in your stool when you go? So we're going to talk about the Girardis. Okay, you guys, the law nerds have spoken. Under the Court of Public Opinion, candy corn is disgust. I disagree. Strong, hard disagree. I love me some candy corn. I don't know how well it goes with coffee, though. Bye, honey. Thank you.
Anytime.
Love you. He's like, I am free from this woman sticking a bag of candy corn in my face, trying to make me smell it. Anyway, they're so good. You guys, we're like an hour in and I forgot to say, do the YouTube things. I'm not going to sit here and eat this whole stream. I swear. Cause I can't. We're going to put it over here. Cause candy corn is not breakfast, but kind of. Do the YouTube things. Like, subscribe, like the video. Thank you guys for coming in and seeing Dr. B. I mean, that's what almost 20 years of marriage is. We've been together, what? We've been together like 24 years? Anyway, Dr. B has always hated candy corn. But you know what? When we first got married, Dr. B didn't like pumpkin pie either. And he has hard shifted that position. And now he and my son are both like pumpkin pie aficionados. And I will come down and be like, where's the pumpkin pie? And they're all like, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, thank you guys for letting me bring Dr. B in, because he had a very strong opinion about this week's Court of Public Opinion. And as much as I love candy corn, the pumpkins are also delicious. So we need to get into Erika Girardi stuff. I'm going to pull a few super chats that I missed, and I will get to the rest of them when we get to questions. But it's just a chill stream here, y'all. It's a Tuesday. There's a lot of news to come today. So we're just like, as a former prosecutor, is there a situation where you would believe that time in prison is not justified? Vlog Media Breeze, there are lots of times when I think prison is not justified. I've made my feelings about drugs well known. I think a lot of our drug crimes are pretty stupid and, not helped by prison time. There are other situations, and I've talked about cases I've worked that were just horrible all the way around. And I'm like, this is a horrible, horrible situation, but this was an accident. This person is not a criminal. This person has done a thing. The thing went really badly, but prison's not going to change it. It's just going to continue to ruin lives. So there are definitely situations where I advocated for no prison time, where I settled cases for no prison time, lots and lots of them, in fact. So that's the thing about being a prosecutor. And one of the things that I know defense attorneys struggle with is prosecutors do have that power to advocate in a different way than defense attorneys do, because they're the ones who are in the position kind of charging and of advocating within their own office to say, this person should not go to prison. This case should not go to prison. And that's what it is. So let us. Ashley said, I'm the same way with velvet clothing, Dr. B. The feel of it on my skin makes my teeth hurt. It's a thing. It's an actual thing. Oh my God, they actually make caramel apple candy corn, which is delicious. Normal is nasty. Caramel apple candy corn actually sounds amazing. And I will seek that out and try it and share on social at the Emily D. Baker on Instagram and Twitter. I will look for that and try it. Candy corn is definitely a divided topic. We're going to keep all of the court of public opinions this month in spooky season theme. So Ken's World, what would your housewife tagline be? Well, I've done a couple of them on the Andy's Girls podcast. I would have to think really long and hard for like a true, because they go seasonally, right? It just depends on the time of the year. So right now, I don't know right now what my housewife's like. I will think about it while we talk. And then if I have an idea, I will come back for questions for sure. Put one in his mouth when he falls asleep. Oh, I definitely would not do that. That would not go over well. That kind of breaks the pact of practical joking in our house. We aren't really pranksters as a couple, but I will absolutely make him smell it. Be like, honey, candy corn. Maybe we'll put some out on the counter. I'm just worried if I put it on the counter, Fred is going to knock it all over the place. Ivans said, Emily, I love you. Well, thank you. Some comments. One, what is your lens brand? Erlen, and there is a link in my description for them. irlen.com does the color tinting on my lenses that helps with light sensitivity. 2, are you going to cover Shannon Bedore cases? I have covered some. I'm going to get back to them. I love your new throw. Thank you very much. Kisses from the UK. Appreciate it. So I will get back to Shannon Bedore. We covered it a while back on the Emily show. So if you search the name, you'll find it. Yeah. In my family, I don't just follow the law. I am the law. That's pretty funny, Amanda. Thank you. We'll find something, but truly Emily's tagline, it binged. I am a real lawyer and I play one on YouTube. It binged, move your head. I mean, that might have to be it. That kind of covers this season of the channel for sure. And the growth on this channel, I still can't believe we're at 160,000. Thank you all. And I don't know how many likes we're at on this video, but I will probably be astounded by that as well. So again, thank you all. We appreciate you. So we've done the things. Let us talk about Erika Girardi and then do questions real quick. Well, they all head to Tractor Supply because Tractor Supply is fun. It is things when you live in California, you'd never think you'll say. And then you move out of California and you're like, oh, good. I'm going to just take a second here because this video is already demonetized because I was talking about the 5 different coroner designations, I'm sure is what did it. But we were talking about educational things, YouTube. We have to parse the facts and the fuckery. There are people out there saying all kinds of outrageous things like every death is ruled a homicide and we have to correct it from someone who's actually, set foot inside a coroner's office on more than one occasion. We have to just make sure. So YouTube, please monetize my video. Thank you. Let's talk about Erika Girardi because there are more lawyers coming for Erika Girardi. Have you guys been following this whole Erika's unedited video getting subpoenaed from Edelson PC? And are any of you wondering how Edelson PC plays in with the Girardi bankruptcies and stuff like that? We're going to talk about that, and then we're going to get to questions. So let us timestamp the things and make a swoop and talk about Erika Jane. All right. Thank you for that extended court of public opinion, y'all. Erika Girardi, Erika Jane, Erika Chahoy. She goes by many names, but is known for how many fucks she gives on the internet, which is none. Not one. And as much as I am still having my moments of being like, did you really just do that on social media? She did tell us that this is who she was starting season 1 of Real Housewives when she wore the See You Next Tuesday blinged out necklace, called herself CUNTY, and then saying, how many fucks do I give? None, not one. She is definitely living by that motto. I mean, it used to be kind of cheeky and funny, and now it's just like, bleh. We're just not loving it. But Edelson PC is subpoenaing Bravo's unaired footage. So let's go to Us Weekly real quick because this is where we get the Housewives news from, people. I actually really have been interested in watching the way Jay Edelson has talked about this case He did a really good interview with Kate Casey over on her podcast. Oh, this though. Us Weekly's going to slow down the stream. Of course it is. It's a really heavy website. So we're going to have to click off of that. We're not going to be able to use the Us Weekly one. I always should download them as PDF before I stream because they load so many ads onto their website that it actually slows down my stream when I pull it up. So he did a great interview on Kate Casey's podcast. I've been on her podcast. She's a great interviewer and a curator of the pop culture things. I will find that episode at some point and share it. But Jay Edelson of Edelson PC was working on the Lion Air crash case with Tom Girardi's firm, Girardi Keese. With Girardi Keese, they hadn't gotten paid, and then they determined that their clients had not gotten paid, and then brought it to the attention of the court by filing a lawsuit. Their lawsuit was the first one that called the divorce between Erika and Tom Girardi a sham divorce, and it came down right in early December last year. And everyone was like, wait, what is happening? For me, the Edelson PC suit was kind of the tip of the iceberg, and everything else flowed because the hearings that ensued in the Illinois case with Edelson PC is what really drove the court there to freeze Tom Girardi and Girardi Keese's assets. And it really pushed the other creditors, in my opinion, to file the forced bankruptcy and to really file to push both the law firm and Tom Girardi into bankruptcy, seeing that the assets had been frozen over in the Illinois case. So that is absolutely what I think broke all of this down. So let's pull up, this was covered by a lot of different websites. I'm just going to pull up another one. But Jay Edelson actually gave a statement to Fox News, which has been covering a lot of housewives lately, which is strange to me, but okay. So Edelson PC actually spoke to Fox News and said, I hate it when ads autoplay. Let's just pull this up. Everybody's like, Emily, do you like Adidas shoes? Because those are the ads you're being served. Yes, I do. Attorney Jay Edelson previously worked with Girardi, told Fox News that he believes Bravo has footage that directly relates to the lawsuit he has already filed against the reality TV star. He said, we believe that Bravo has hundreds of hours of unaired footage. I mean, probably. Not everything airs. They film for 3 months-ish? So probably. I love this headline. Real Housewives star Erika Jayne looks glum during an LA outing following the bombshell reunion teaser. Is this supposed to be the photo of her looking glum? Is this look, leave the reality TV coverage to people. So this is Erika looking snide, not glum. So let's see. We believe that Bravo has hundreds of hours of, of unaired footage, as well as documentary evidence, probably her documentary evidence, probably her contracts and things like that, which relates to the case. Edelson exclusively told Fox News, so far, Bravo has chosen to use the Girardi embezzlement scandal to increase ratings and make significant money for itself. I mean, he didn't lie. He didn't lie. The victims have had to endure watching the Real Housewives cast do things like eat caviar pie and drink specially made vodka served by white glove staff as they pay lip service to the lives Tom has ruined, Edelson added. See, here's what I appreciate about Jay Edelson. And I've never had a conversation with Jay Edelson. I've listened to his interviews. He seems to be just working this case and occasionally will pop up and give an interview when things are moving, but it's always focused on the victims. It's not really focused on personally attacking and dragging through the mud Erika, because the words speak for themselves and he doesn't need to sling mud. And I appreciate that, seeing that he's also suing Erika. The victims have had to endure watching Real Housewives cast do things like eat caviar pie and drink specially made vodka served by white glove staffs as they pay lip service to the lives Tom has ruined, Edelson added. The victims have watched Erika cry crocodile tears as she is forced to move into a $10,000 a month apartment. I think it's a rental house, but whatever. Well, she and her glam squad parade around in a lifestyle few of us will ever know. We appreciate the intelligent. He didn't lie. He did not lie. Girardi was accused of embezzling $2 million from plane crash victims in December, and the couple's assets were frozen. Well, Girardi's assets were frozen, but yes, they were already separated. So, I mean, splitting hairs. Jane had filed for divorce 1 month earlier. Girardi and Jane had been accused of divorcing to protect their money and assets. Fox News obtained court documents in August that indicated Girardi's law firm was more than $100 million in debt. All of us obtained those court documents. I love when the mainstream media is like, we have these documents. Bitch, I have them too. But yes, I have reviewed the documents, and yes, it's over $101 million in debt. And an entertainment company owned by Jane, EJ Global LLC, had allegedly received more than $25 million from Girardi. Well, from Girardi Keese, truly. And not to be picking at your article, I cover this way too much, clearly, but a lot of that was in kind and had received it in kind. Edelson called on Bravo to stop protecting Erika Jane. This goes on from Edelson to say, we are hoping that Bravo changes course and decides to stop protecting Erika and its own bottom line and not make a bad decision to impair our investigation and help us recover much needed money for the victims, Edelson statement said. Edelson is trying to recover money, just so we're clear. And this is not shade to Edelson, because Edelson, I think, has done a tremendous job in this. But Edelson is trying to recover money for the Lion Air plane crash victims who were their clients too. Edelson has said to the court in their filings that they are, that yes, they are also out money, but they are seeking to pay the victims first. So they have actually been very focused on making sure that particularly the Lion Air crash victims get paid. Now, Edelson was local counsel in Illinois to Tom Girardi. Girardi received the funds from Boeing when the case settled with the clients they represented, and then that money did not get to the victims, to the clients. I mean, they aren't plane crash victims. They are the surviving family members. There were no survivors from the plane crash, but you know what I mean. We're trying to be accurate and precise with our language. So the clients of Girardi Keese did not get that funds. Edelson is trying to recover the $2 million, which from someone as wealthy as Girardi had been purported to be, shouldn't have been hard to do. So Erika is being sued by Edelson PC in Illinois with other members of the Girardi Keese law firm, and that is still ongoing. We'll talk about that in a second. Erika Jane's lawyer, Evan Borges, confirmed to Fox News that he hasn't seen the subpoena and characterized the move as a fishing expedition. That is a very lawyerly way to say they're just grasping at straws. They say the subpoena sounds like a fishing expedition or a desperation move if it is directed at Erika, Borges told Fox News in a statement. I keep explaining that there is no hidden treasure, which we have supported by providing counsel for the bankruptcy trustee with all relevant bank accounts and financial information in Erika's possession. That is new information that we have not seen. What we have been told by other attorneys, Richards, is that Erika has not been cooperative at all, has not provided any information at all. But what Evan Borges, Erika's attorney for the bankruptcy, is saying is that there is no hidden treasure, which indicates there might not be a ton of money, that Erika's not sitting on $20 million, and that they provided the bankruptcy trustee with relevant bank accounts and financial information that is in Erika's possession. Now, there are two bankruptcies. There are two special attorneys working with the bankruptcies. One is Boris Trazion with the Axe Law Firm. One is Ron Richards. We haven't really heard much from the personal bankruptcy. It seems to me they're working behind the scenes on it. We've seen a lot on social media from Richards, but it sounds like Erika has actually turned over some information, which is helpful. This goes on to say there's only a small amount of additional information that I need to provide to the trustee, which, along with everything else we've provided, shows that Erika's divorce filing was for legitimate reasons and that she's been trying to make it on her own. Bravo did not immediately respond to Fox News's request for comment. I'm not surprised by that. It seems, Bravo is absolutely making money and benefiting off this storyline. This is the highest rated franchise at the moment, I believe, just based on my conversations with other Bravo watchers like No Filter Zach and Up and Adam and, Sarah Galley over at Andy's Girls and Ryan Bailey from So Bad It's Good and others that follow that way more than I do. But it seems to be a very high rated season because of this legal drama. So yes, Bravo is clearly benefiting from this, but also we all want to know what's happening and we want to see what Erika's going to say. So we watch. But Bravo can't really get in trouble for that. I don't think Bravo is, quote, protecting Erika as Jay Edelson kind of stated it to be, in that we'll see. Bravo has the right to object to a subpoena as overbroad or cumbersome. So we will see what Bravo says. We will see what happens with the subpoena. That subpoena is going under the umbrella of the Edelson PC lawsuit in Illinois. And we're going to talk about that suit real quick. So let's pull this up because Edelson PC is also asking for relief from the bankruptcy stay. And that's a document I'm pulling up now. This was filed. There are so many cases. It's like, what? This was filed in the personal bankruptcy for Tom Girardi. There are 2 bankruptcy cases. This is on the personal side. This is a request for a stay or relief from stay in the bankruptcy. A bankruptcy stay, Michael Scott, I declare bankruptcy. A bankruptcy stay means that when someone is in bankruptcy, like Tom Girardi and Girardi Keese, all of the other lawsuits that are surrounding it stop. Right there. Thank you very much. They stop. They freeze. They wait until the bankruptcy is resolved, or they are resolved within the bankruptcy. So there is a stay issued on all of those cases. So so far as Edelson PC is suing Tom Girardi and Girardi Keese, in addition to Erika Girardi and other lawyers from the firm, the part as to Tom Girardi and Girardi Keese is stopped until the bankruptcy resolves. They're arguing that as to Erika, the stay should not apply. So they are saying that this motion is being heard on regular notice. The motion is actually scheduled to be heard, let me take a look real quick, on November 2nd. So we should know at the beginning of next month what is going to happen with this and whether the stay will apply to Erika, not apply to Erika, and whether she will also be moving forward. So far, Erika and her legal team have not answered the complaint in the Illinois case. It has stayed as to her and stayed as to Tom Girardi and Girardi Keese. The other lawyers are moving forward, have appeared, and are making motions to dismiss and such. If you want to know what the other lawyers are doing in this case, I'm happy to cover it on another day. In the non-bankruptcy action, the movement is the plaintiff. That's Edelson PC suing Girardi. An involuntary bankruptcy Chapter 7 petition was filed on 12/18. We know all of this. Movement, Edelson PC, seeks recovery primarily from third parties and agrees that the stay will remain in effect as to enforcement of any resulting judgment against the debtor or bankruptcy estate, except that movement will retain the right to file proof of claim under 11 U.S.C. 501 and or an adversary complaint. The claims arise from a non-bankruptcy law and can be most expeditiously resolved in the non-bankruptcy form. So this claim is arising not out of bankruptcy. It's Edelson PC saying, look, Tom Girardi should have paid these clients and didn't, and we think Erika has the money. Edelson PC was the first firm or the first lawyers or the first anyone that said, hey, we think there's this $20 million loan being made to Erika, but that lawsuit's attached and we'll pull it up. We haven't talked about it in ages, but there are Emily Show episodes and there's a playlist on the channel of all the Erika stuff. If you want to see the Edelson PC lawsuit, it's there. Other relief requested is down below. Let's see what else. Memorandum of points and authorities attached. Movement may proceed under applicable non-bankruptcy law to enforce its remedies and proceed in final judgment in a non-bankruptcy form. So these are all the things they need to do to ask the court formally for a stay. This is the memorandum of points and authority with regard to Edelson PC, asking for the relief from the bankruptcy stay. It's that time in the stream where my throat gets all crazy. Creditor Edelson PC, pursuant to bankruptcy rule 44001, has filed a motion to clarify the absence of the automatic stay as to Erika Girardi and submits this memorandum of points and authorities in support. Edelson PC expects that the trustee will file a conditional non-opposition to the motion. Conditional non-op means, hey, we're not saying you can't do it, but hey, we're saying there's this, yes and. So the yes and is the conditional part. And what the conditional part normally would be a yes and you need anything that's recovered needs to kind of play nicely with the bankruptcy and needs to be discussed with the bankruptcy trustee. There could be other things though, of course, and we'll see if there are. On December 2nd, Edelson PC filed an action against Thomas Girardi, Girardi Keese, Erika Girardi, among others, seeking the recovery of client settlement funds owed to clients that Edelson PC and Girardi Keese jointly represented in the Lion Air litigation, as well as Edelson PC's attorney's fees. The complaint alleges that Tom Girardi has for years embezzled from clients and taken on debt to fund a lavish lifestyle for both himself and his wife, Erika Girardi. Footnote 1, let's see how sassy it is. Thomas Girardi is referred to as Tom and Erika Girardi as Erika for clarity in this motion. You could have just put look. I appreciate that it's a footnote, but it could have just been Thomas Girardi, Tom, Erika Girardi, Erika. But I do appreciate it because Mr. and Mrs. gets very hard for me when I'm reading these fast. So for Emily's sake of clarity, I appreciate the Mr. and Miss not having the Mr. and Mrs. and having Tom and Erika. These revelations led to this bankruptcy as well as the parallel bankruptcy of Girardi Keese. I agree. Due to the pending bankruptcies, Edelson's case is stayed as to against Tom and Girardi Keese. However, Edelson PC does not believe the automatic stay in this action prevents it from proceeding against Erika, and it now seeks an order clarifying that it is permitted to do so. So, hey, Your Honor, please let me know that we can continue to sue Erika and force Erika to move forward in the Illinois case, which means Erika would have to deal with these two bankruptcies because there are assets she's not the debtor, but there are assets that are co-debtor and things that people are going on about. And then she also will have to deal with this Edelson PC case, among other things. First, the automatic stay does not apply to Erika. As a general rule, the automatic stay of Section 362 protects only the debtor. It does not protect non-debtor parties. Erika is a non-debtor party. She is not listed on this bankruptcy. She may have benefited, but she is not the bankrupt party here. That's not in controversy. Further, Edelson does not seek to obtain assets that ever belonged to the estate. I think there's just a "the" missing, but we only flame you for horrible and egregious typos or funny typos. Missing the unless it becomes a habit is not what we're going to shade. Egregious typos, yeah, sometimes. Instead, it seeks its own traceable assets that were embezzled by Tom and potentially given to Erika. That is important. When they say traceable assets, they're looking for this money from Boeing came into this account, and then where did it go from this account? And how can we claw it back or disengorgement? Money from Boeing went to an account, then where the fuck did it go after? Because that money doesn't ever and hasn't ever belonged to the bankruptcy estate. That money always belonged, they're saying, to the Lion Air clients, which, accurate, it was their money. The automatic stay provides no protection to a third party in this circumstance. They go on and cite the law that supports that position, or that they say supports that position, I guess, to be fair. Second, as we've explained in the Edelson action, we firmly believe that the clients need to be paid first. The firm's interests accordingly are aligned with the trustee here. If client funds are located in the firm's pursuit of Erika in the Edelson action, they will go to the clients. Because again, the Lion Air clients are debtors, creditors in the bankruptcy. So the Lion Air clients, if they are able to trace down just this $2 million and pay it back to them, then they come out of the bankruptcy and the bankruptcy court doesn't have to deal with it. If there are other assets located in Erika's possession that should properly be apportioned by this court that we discover while pursuing the Edelson action, Edelson will work with the trustee to make sure that occurs. So, hey, we want to go after Erika too. We want to find where the money is too. We saw Evan Borges's quote on that Fox News article saying, there's no money here. Like, good luck, but there's no treasure trove of assets. So we'll see, because now you've got 3 different law firms looking for Erika's assets. Ron Richards as to Girardi Keese, Boris Trazian as to Tom Girardi's bankruptcy, and Edelson PC as to their own lawsuit against Erika. They go on to say Edelson PC respectfully requests that this court enter an order that it may proceed under applicable non-bankruptcy law. So it may proceed in this Edelson PC versus Girardi case. And then they've attached that lawsuit, which is against Thomas Girardi, Girardi Keese, Erika Girardi, aka Erika Jane, EJ Global LLC, Girardi Financial Inc., David Lira, Keith Griffin. These are the other two attorneys that have worked on this case, and they are pending contempt hearings before that judge. And there has been a lot of back and forth with these contempt hearings. David Lira is Tom Girardi's son-in-law. Keith Griffin's another attorney that worked at the firm. And they have said, hey, we can't do these contempt hearings and protect ourselves. Tom Girardi knew everything. We didn't know. We told him to pay it back. We don't have a duty further than that. And the court's like, you have a duty to these clients. You had a duty to make sure they get paid, literally WTF. And they're saying, we didn't have the books. We never knew where the money went. We need access to that. And the bankruptcy trustee has it. So we can't defend ourselves in this contempt hearing without having access to those records. So the lawyers in Tom's own firm are saying, we didn't know that this money wasn't going to clients. And essentially. The next one is Johnston, Hutchinson, and Lira LLP, which is the law firm David Lira went and joined. Robert Finnerty, who is one of the financial lenders, I believe. Abir Cohen, Trazian, and Salo, which is Boris Trazian's law firm, who is the lawyer, the Axe law firm, who is the lawyer going after, I need a chart, who is the lawyer that's been hired by the bankruptcy trustee for Tom Girardi that's going after Erika as to the marital assets, but he's also being sued by the trustee for Girardi Keese because they're saying that he poached clients essentially from Girardi Keese law firm and that those funds should go back to Girardi Keese, should not be kept by the Axe law firm. So there's that. California Attorney Lending 2 and Stillwell Madison and John Doe's. I feel like I need a flow chart, like a Greek tragedy type of flow chart, right? Chelsea C said we need a bulletin board with pins and strings. We do. It's like, at least none of these parties are active on Twitter. So it's not like, well, except for Erika, it's not like, and then they said this, and then they said this. Like, this isn't messy. It's just a lot of moving pieces, but it's not messy, like messy. All right. Complaint and demand for jury trial. Plaintiff Edelson PC brings this lawsuit against all the peeps. We've gone through this soup, but we're going to get to the quickness of it and then real quick go to Q&A. Tom Girardi and his law firm Girardi Keese are on the verge of financial collapse and locked in a downward spiral of mounting debts and dwindling funds. They presently owe tens of millions of dollars to clients, lenders, co-counsel, settlement administrators, experts, to name a few, and have tried in vain to forestall the payment of these debts with hollow promises, excuses, misdirection, and outright fraud. This is a lawsuit because of the defendant's greed. Just said with more words. At the heart of this deception is defendant Girardi and his need to fund outrageous lifestyles for himself and his soon-to-be ex-wife, Erika Jane. Tom and Erika have reached celebrity status in the glitz and glam world of Hollywood and Beverly Hills, though they live in Pasadena. Tom is a well-known and powerful personal injury attorney. Erika is a performer. At least they didn't put it in quotations and acknowledge that she is in fact a performer who is perhaps better known for her years-long presence on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, a show centered on the larger-than-life extravagances of its cast members. To keep up their celebrity status, Tom and Erika must project a public image of obscene wealth and at all times and at whatever cost. As a result, and most egregiously, Tom has resorted to embezzling the proceeds of settlements that should have been directed to his clients, including, as a basis of this complaint, the widows and orphans who lost loved ones in the tragic crash of the Lion Air Flight 610 in order to continue funding his and Erika's lavish Beverly Hills lifestyle. This is where the widows and orphans line came from. This is kind of the one ring of it all. This is the one lawsuit that started it all. This is the allegations and shade of it all. So, well, Erika publicly filed for divorce this month on information and belief that divorce is simply a sham attempt to fraudulently protect Tom and Erika's money from those that seek to collect debts owed by Tom and his law firm, Girardi Keese. This would not be the first attempt by Tom to hide and divert assets. Indeed, in a likely violation of the California Uniform Fraudulent Transfer Act, defendant Jane's company, defendant EJ Global, has allegedly received tens of millions in loans directly from defendant GK. We know that that is now not loans, but we know that this is in kind, mostly in kind payments, of which Tom is the sole equity shareholder. Tom's downward spiral appears to have finally bottomed out. On information and beliefs, Tom mounting loans and debt have piled up to such an extent that GK can no longer meet its financial obligations, and it is likely that GK, Girardi Keese, will soon not be a going concern. Accurate. This is the foreshadowing of it all. But Tom's litigation financiers and other creditors, including Erika, are not the only ones who stand to lose the most from the fall of Girardi Keese. Instead, it's the Lion Air clients and potentially other clients who stand to lose everything. Accurate. That's because on information and belief, Tom has embezzled and redirected funds that were due to Lion Air clients and, of lesser importance, plaintiff Edelson. I appreciate that Edelson acknowledged, like, hey, we're also owed money, but it's not the end all be all. Like, hey, we also are owed money. I think that they addressed it well. And I think that they, of everyone that's been involved kind of in this, I think Edelson handled this with quite a lot of tact and recognition. I liked the way that they did their complaint. I liked the acknowledgement. I liked the focus. And I liked it was like, hey, it's not focused. It's not about us. It's about getting this money back for our clients. Because I would feel very, as I say, I'm going to stop soliloquying and then continue. I would feel incredibly angry and deceived if clients that I was also working on behalf of were not paid by my co-counsel. I mean, I would be so fucking angry. And you kind of see that for sure. These family members, friends, lenders, and other creditors of defendant Girardi and GK have not simply been passively receiving funds that could have possibly been construed as valid repayments for loans made or obligations owed. Instead, with defendants Girardi's and Girardi Keese's financial woes in full view, these people and entities, including defendants Lyra, who worked at the firm, California Attorney Lending, Stillwell Madison, have on information and belief with the agreement of defendants Girardi and Girardi Keese structured an intercreditor agreement amongst themselves to redirect to them any monies received in the bank account of defendant Girardi Keese. Some of those lenders have already been removed from this lawsuit. Not all. The lawyers are still a part of it. And then this goes on to talk about the embezzlement, the shade. Girardi and Girardi Keese's embezzlement and wrongful transfers to third parties of client funds cannot simply go unchecked. And while the present complaint is brought in part to enforce plaintiff's fee agreement, those fees are not the primary focus of the complaint. Rather, this complaint seeks to force Girardi Keese, a firm that pushes the slogan, "We treat our clients like family," to uphold its fiduciary duty to the surviving families of the victims of Lion Air Flight 610 and it's agreed to represent. And then they go through the rest of the details. I cover this complaint in full on this playlist. This was filed again in early December before the bankruptcy because they saw the writing on the wall. We know from the interview with Kate Casey on her podcast that Jay Edelson said, look, when Erika jumped ship, it seemed like the rats jumping ship, and we knew that the money probably ran out. That was their gut reaction to it. So those interviews are great. I will link them down below too. Kate Casey's podcast is great. Let's just get into questions. I have questions. You have questions. We have talked for quite a long time. My nose is like, what? We've talked a lot. We've talked a whole lot, Emily. Let's just get to questions. Let's do it. I have questions. You have questions. We have questions. Before we have questions, have you liked the stream? There's, over 3,000 of you here. Like the stream. Share the stream, share the channel. We're trying to hit 200K, in like 2 months, which is going to be a lot, but you never know. Crazier things have happened. We'll see. Like the stream, share the stream. You can go follow me on social. at the Emily D. Baker on Twitter and Instagram, where I cover things more quickly before I cover them live. So cheers. Let's get to questions. I mean, Corey, it wasn't my analogy. I agree with the analogy, but that's basically what Jay Edelson said. It was like, when the rats flee the ship, that's kind of what they saw. They saw Erika fleeing a sinking ship in the divorce filing. That's how they perceived it. And it's, I can see where you could draw that analogy. I mean, April, question. If Erika was still married to Tom during the time that they were investigating, does it matter if she filed for divorce? Right now, the divorce doesn't really have any major implications other than it kind of triggered Edelson PC to file this lawsuit. Definitely not done with coffee yet, but she's estranged, but these debts were still incurred during marriage. All of this, from the time she filed the divorce in November to getting into the bankruptcy, happened very quick in order. There's not going to be a lot of wiggle room there. So it doesn't matter in this circumstance too much. And the divorce proceeding is probably going to wind up after the bankruptcy anyway. Erika's not going to get anything in the divorce. So it's just going to be done. It's just going to be like, question, do you think Britney's conservatorship will actually be terminated on November 12th? If it is, won't that affect Rose and Daddy's investigation into Dad Spears? If it is terminated on the 12th, I think it will be terminated contingent on the wrapping up of financials. And I think that could take quite a substantial bit of time. So if the court orders it to end, it will not just end that day like poof. There will be a wrapping up period, but it will tell Britney, look, we are in the end game here. We are in the final countdown. Da-da-da. I'm sorry, it's what I hear in my head, but we are in the end of the thing. And with being in the end of the thing, we're wrapping up these financial documents. And when this stuff is done, then we're absolutely done. So I think that's what is likely to happen, but we'll see. As more court filings come in and more objections, we already know that there's a court date on December 8th as well to deal with financials. So it's not going to we're never in court again. The court will have jurisdiction until the financials are done, and that could take quite a while. So, Allie C., who are the 11 who voted thumbs down and why? There's always some who just keep their bell on for my channel to come by and let me know that they cannot stand the sight of my face, and that is okay. We're not for everybody over here, and that's all right, but they just need to come and show it. I've never felt the need to go to another channel and thumbs down it, except David Dobrik's apology video. I was like, I cannot with this. But I don't have time to troll people on the internet. I have work to do. And when I'm not working, I'm generally playing with my kids and hanging with my husband and reading about stuff that I'm going to talk about online, but I don't have to. We don't. Question. Since they offered Geoffrey a no prison deal if he pled, can he pull a Bill Cosby? No. I did a video on Cosby, and I don't know for a fact that the prosecutors offered the 90-day fiance guy a deal where if he pled, he would not get prison. But no, that's him denying a plea deal. That's different than what happened in the Cosby case. The Cosby case was more it was a Fifth Amendment issue with an inducement to testify I covered it in a video, but an inducement to testify that you wouldn't be prosecuted on, then they used what he said against him. So it's different than, it's different. So it's different. Questions. Have you asked Barnes to be a guest on your channel for the Rittenhouse tea? I want to know what happened with the other attorney. Linda, I need to reach out. I still haven't. It's been so busy. I definitely need to get back into the rest of what happened. I don't know how much he'll talk about, but the rest of what happened with John Pierce. And there are others I want to talk to about that. We're going to do a follow-up. It's just I was traveling, and so I've been busy. I think when it gets to the New Year's, you should do an Emily Award ceremony with awards like Sassiest Footnote, Most Frivolous Lawsuit. Oh, we could do that in January. Hold on, I'm going to make a note. We could do Court of Public Opinions where we vote on on our favorites. We can absolutely do an award season where we vote on favorites. So we could do the Law Nerd Awards. We could absolutely do a Law Nerd Awards in January. I think that would be fun to do a whole month of Law Nerd Awards for the Court of Public Opinion. The curvy girl, that is a great suggestion. Curly girl. Sorry, I misread that. I was thinking of myself. That is a great idea. I'm writing it down so I don't forget. And we can give credit where credit is due. I think that is fantastic. I love it. When will the IRS come for Erika? I mean, the feds take a while. I'm sure they're already investigating. It's going to take a while. Like I'm sure they're investigating, but it's going to take a while, you know. Chelsea, I'm so glad to make you laugh. That is part of the infotainment that we do here. It is learning. There is also laughter. We can't take things too seriously. And sometimes that ends up with other attorneys trying to shade me, but not the YouTube ones, because they all are in on the joke, which is working on YouTube is the greatest gig ever. And I love it so much. And it lets me live the life that I love and hang out with y'all. Oh, remonetizing with $10. Mother of 4 cats. Thank you so much. I only share, so you guys, I don't share to be like, hey, this is demonetized. I share because like understanding how YouTube works helps. I saw something that pissed me off on Twitter the other day. Should we talk about things that pissed me off on Twitter real quick? I mean, we'll just talk about it real quick. I was so annoyed seeing Bailey Sarian having to apologize for people being like, hey, there's too many ads in your Dark History podcast. First of all, her Dark History podcast is highly produced, which takes a team. It is highly researched, highly produced. It's great. I love it. But she went on, I'm just going to pull up her Twitter real quick because Bailey Sarian's fantastic. Where is it? From October 10th. Also, hi. I see October 10th was a family member's birthday. Happy birthday. We're not going to call out which one because, we're not done. We're not sharing too much information. Also, hi, I see your comments on Dark History episodes complaining about there being too many ads. I hear you and I agree. Unfortunately, we agreed to 4 ads per episode and I thought I could bulk place them, but that's not the case. Well, no, I think she agreed to this podcast with a group too, where you're allowed to where you have to space out ads like every 15 minutes or whatever. Otherwise, the advertisers get salty. Again, 4 ads per episode is less ads than an episode of Real Housewives with longer content. So when you're comparing YouTube to television, look, this is less ads than you would get on an episode of TV. So yes, it's a lot and I can't change it for now. I'm sorry. Bailey, don't apologize, girl. First of all, true crime does not get heavily monetized on YouTube. It can also get suppressed based on topics. So you can't always run ads on it. Her Dark History episodes are literally a Netflix show. And I saw somebody say it in the chat too. It is a very well-researched and well-produced show. That does not happen for free. But you get to watch it for free. You don't need a subscription like on Netflix. 4 ads is not a lot. Let her have the ads. And these are generally sponsored ad reads because YouTube doesn't monetize true crime sometimes at all. So she has to fund her channel with sponsors. So it just made me sad to have to see, a creator like Bailey, who is an incredibly conscientious creator, who is very much invested in her audience, having to apologize for making a living creating content that, other than having her read an ad in it, you can watch for free. You don't have to pay for anything. So I just, Truth and Beauty said Bailey works her ass off. Heaven forbid she get paid. The amount, I'm sure she has researchers, editors, and production that goes into that podcast in her agreement. And she has contracts that she has to appear. So I was just like, come on, do not apologize. And I'm sure it's not her main audience. I'm sure it is casual viewers who are like, why are there ads? Because her main audience, I'm sure, I consider myself, I enjoy Bailey Sarian's content quite a lot. And I've never been like, oh, why do you have an ad? The only ads I've ever gotten annoyed at on YouTube from a creator are when you get someone like a Jake or Logan Paul with a very young audience, every 30 seconds going, that shit I can't stand. It's a personal annoyance, but I'm never like, don't get your bag. Creators, this is their full-time job. Get paid. I was so annoyed. I was not annoyed she posted it. I was annoyed that she felt the need to post it because people were coming for her about having sponsored ad reads in her content. But I'm also someone who does sponsored ad reads in my content. So get paid. If she doesn't get paid, she's not going to be able to make the content, because if she doesn't get paid, then she has to go do something else to make money and isn't going to get to do this. Bailey Sarian's a goddess and we don't deserve her. she's also just her brows are just envious. I adore Bailey Sarian. So that's just it. Can I show? I died. By the way, the day I saw that Bailey Sarian followed me on Twitter, I literally fangirl died. I died. I died. I'm sorry to, the Phil DeFrancos and Ethan Kleins of it all. I also was very excited when you followed me on Twitter. I died when Bailey Sarian followed me on Twitter because I love her. So, a tired millennial said 4 ads in an hour-long show is nothing. Exactly. I mean, and again, it's not Trisha Paytas doing a clickbaity, and again, get your bag, but Trisha Paytas will do a clickbaity, very emotional video and have ad roll like every 2 minutes in a 30-minute video. This is not that. And I can see why audience would be like, oh my God, you've monetized the ever-loving shit out of this video, really? But 4 ad reads in a highly produced show is just, it's nothing. And her content can't get monetized the same way by advertisers on YouTube because it's true crime content. And she knows that when she went in to creating this content and creates it because this is the content that she loves, I'm sure. But you have to do that through sponsorships. Anyway, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox of like, let creators get their bag. Like, look, the creator economy is booming. YouTube shared numbers that the creator economy, let me go and look, the creator economy, how many billions, it was billions of dollars that the creator economy was supporting, and hundreds of thousands of jobs and subsequent jobs, because when you're a creator and that's making money, you then hire other people to help you. And the creator economy is absolutely booming, and we're going to continue to see it. It is a real job. So, all right. I love my daughter's expression when I tell her we couldn't skip ads when I was her age. Exactly. This is such a fantastic point. When you watch traditional TV, you don't have the option to watch for 5 seconds and skip an ad. You are stuck with the ad. That was TV. We now have so many options. And if you pay for something like YouTube Premium, you don't see any of the ads. I pay for YouTube Premium. I watch a lot of YouTube, but the creator still gets a portion of that on their back end. It shows in your analytics, it shows how much you get from different types of revenue. And it shows like super chat revenue like this. It shows YouTube Premium revenue and ad revenue. So yes, we could not skip ads. We also, couldn't just get any music we wanted on demand. We had to wait for an album to come out or a new album. We couldn't just go and download the latest single on MP3. It just Anyway, I love YouTube Premium. Best decision I ever made. I mean, YouTube Premium is absolutely great. So anyway, I think with Bailey Sarian, part of the complaints are sponsored ad reads, but she also, I believe, timestamps them, as I do. I timestamp my ad reads. So does Phil DeFranco, where you timestamp your ad reads. So if you want to just skip to the next timestamp, you can. Mary said, I think she apologizes way too much for her YouTube channel. There's no need. She owes us nothing. We can watch if we want. Yeah, and she's great. I think she's very conscientious, but I don't think she should let people give her a hard time about the ads. Fred agrees. Fred absolutely agrees. Napster. Peter Mon has a ton of ads. Peter Mon should have a ton of ads. All of the commentary channels tend to be heavier on ads. I've gotten people complaining about the ads, and I'm just like, okay, well, I can't do this if I don't get paid. So, I love what I do, but also this is now my full-time job. So to bring as much content as I bring, then it has to be a thing because it's the full-time gig. Paul said, can the security company that played an active role in the conservatorship be charged or liable? I hate the lawyerly answer. But, oh, no, Fred. No, get away from get away from the candy corn, Fred. He was over there on the desk. So I put the candy corn over here on the desk, open. And he was starting to push it towards who knows where. Because this texture, this kind of crinkle sound, is my cat's favorite thing. So, Fred, don't push the candy corn onto the floor. Pushing everything else onto the floor. Okay. So, sorry, Paul. It depends. It depends on what they were told. It depends on what they were doing. It depends on if they placed the devices. So yes, possibly, but it really depends on information that we just don't have. And I hate to speculate about stuff like that without having more information. So it just depends on what information they have, what they were told. Like if the lawyers told them, hey, we're supposed to do this, and they think it's like a legit actual thing that like, oh, because of the conservatorship, we're supposed to do this, then there would be some indemnity there because they were told that this is what they had to do. So it really, really just depends. Sorry. I hate an it depends answer, but it has to be an it depends answers. If Erika is more income than Tom in the future, will she have to pay alimony? That's a very good question. I imagine with this bankruptcy, they are going to just like everybody goes their own way. You can go your own way. Sorry, I can't help myself today, but I think it'll be everybody goes their own way and they won't have to pay because if anything, Erika might be still paying back community debts from the bankruptcy, but we're just going to have to see what happens with the bankruptcy because the divorce isn't going to go through until the bankruptcy. Yvette said, question, did you hear anything about Duggar? He has till Sunday. I forget the date off the top of my head in October when he had to change plea, but we can go to Pacer real quick. The mother, like, no, we're 2 hours in. Don't go to Pacer now. Mods, we love you. A big thank you to the mods because they ride with us and make what I do possible. The last thing I saw in the Duggar case, and I pulled this up yesterday, there wasn't anything new, but let's pull the docket report real quick, was the government acting as if they were going to move forward. So the government filed a motion for notice of any intended alibi defenses. So they are prepping for trial. The government is prepping for trial, but they have to because he can change his mind or what have you. Let me go pull up my document on Duggar and see because I have that date that he has to change of plea by. So I just didn't have Duggar pulled up today because honestly, over Duggar, ready for him to just get in trouble for what I did. Like, let's be honest about it. We're ready for it to just be done. So let me see where the timing minute order is and pretrial scheduling. This is why I have a note here. You guys can scroll with me. We'll all do it together. Let's see. Motions, jury instructions. Oh, you're all sitting there going, control F yourself, Emily. Next time I will. I should have control F myself. In the event of a decision to enter a plea of guilty, the court and counsel must be advised in writing or by email no later than October 18th. A copy of the signed plea agreement must be submitted to the court via email no later than October 20th. So if he is going to plea October 20th, any notice of pleas received after October 18th will result in an open plea, which means the defendant will have to plea open to the court, no deals, no agreements, no nothing, and the court will decide how to sentence him. So exceptions must be in writing. Must be requested in writing at least 10 days prior to trial. A case will not be removed from the docket until a signed agreement has been received and a date and time has been set for the defendant to enter the plea. Please be advised in the event that the court timely receives a signed plea agreement, this case will be set for a change of plea hearing on October 22nd, 2021. So we will know soon if he decides to change plea or if they're going forward to trial. And if a hearing mysteriously pops up on the docket for October 22nd, then we will know what that hearing is for. That will be a change of plea hearing. I think after losing all of those motions, he should probably be thinking twice about that, but we will see. Kristen said, it is my husband's birthday, so I could only pop in for a minute, but now, but I had to show the love. Thank you. I'll be in the replay crew later. Love you, awesome law nerds. Happy birthday to your husband, Kristen. Thank you for saying hello to everyone. Did you reorder your pink frosting gloss? Do you have any other favorite colors? Bex, I completely forgot, but I've had family in from out of town. My parents, we went to the Rolling Stones. We have been doing Nashville things. It has been very busy, so I have not sat down. I have not ordered anything online. But yes, I need more pink frosting. Other colors that I love, yes. Do I know the names off the top of my head? Nope. This is the one I grabbed the most. I I also grabbed this one depending on what lip liner I'm wearing, and this is the Shimmer of Hope. It is a very light pink with a little bit of shimmer in it, but not as much color as this one. So if I'm wearing a lip liner than this. So yeah. Let's see. What wouldn't the lawyers force Erika to auction? Why wouldn't the lawyers force Erika to auction off her things? It could bring in millions for the victims. She can't be forced to auction off her things because her things are not part of the bankruptcy estate. They are trying to figure out what of her things might be part of the bankruptcy estate, particularly where it goes to Tom Girardi. Like what things purchased in the marriage are marital property. The Chagall. Is the Chagall marital property? Was it a gift? And there are very particular rules in California that I've covered in other content about what is marital property and what is a gift. So what's purchased with marital funds. But I wouldn't be surprised if some of that stuff was purchased with law firm funds. And then it goes into what did the law firm buy or not buy. But there has to be a determination of what property. Once they claw back the property, then they can auction it off. Or if Erika's lawyers come to a global settlement, meaning they resolve all of the matters pending, all of the outstanding money, then Erika can choose to auction off things to raise money to pay back whatever settlement she has agreed to. We're just not there yet. We're not at the point where we've seen a determination that these items that Erika has are marital property. That includes jewelry, that includes clothes, that includes art, that includes champagne flutes, that includes all of that stuff. We just don't know yet. JD Lady, I hope I pronounced that properly. I probably didn't, but it fair. Mary, we'll go with that. Question, can't they just end the personal part of the conservatorship and keep the financial part for Brittany, which means she is basically free? They sure could. If they wanted to, they could do that. It seems that they are trying to to end both, but again, there would be a wrap-up period with it. Question, Debbie Downer time. I mean, always. Is there ever a world where Brittany could be placed under another 5150 hold and her dad somehow ends up in control? Is there anything she can do legally to limit him? I mean, is there a world where in a world of possibilities, there's always a world where things can happen. I would hope not. She has a care team in place. But she also has a lawyer that she's already retained. The tricks that they used to keep her away from having her own lawyer last time are not going to work again. And so it would be very, very hard for somebody to swoop in and try to give her dad control again, because Rosengart would be there and be like, I've been retained. We're not doing it. I love my daughters. We did that one. I am well behind in the chat. Apologies. I'm going to try to catch up. We're going to do just a few more questions and then we are going to scoot, and I am going to go out and do the things with my parents. And I think my dad's never been to Sonic. So I think one of our adventures today is going to be going to Sonic. And yes, that is an adventure. One of those joys. If you are in Southern California where Sonic is not close, my folks have never been to Sonic. But we can only do one thing a trip. Next time I'm going to make them go to Steak and Shake. And my mom's like, please don't just make me eat fast food while I'm here. And it's like, yeah, but it's Sonic. So I think that's going to happen today. Hey, my birthday's October 10th too. No question. Just wanted to say, love the show. Enjoy you and your content. Thank you. And happy, just recently belated birthday. 10/10 is a great day. I also have a friend whose daughter's birthday is 10/10. Happy birthday, Carly. I can't, and is now 10. She turned 10 on 10/10. Amy Yost, how excited are you for the forensic accounting where we get into the Girardi and Brittany cases? Very excited. Year-end gavel drop, like, whoop, there it is. And thank you for the sweetest note with the Tumblr. Amy, you are welcome. Thank you for being a OG ride or die Larnard. Yeah, I hope we get to know all of the information with the forensic accountings and we will see what happens. So, Mother Oats is saying there's an Apple event October 18th. We thought that there might be. I didn't see that yet. It might have been just released, but I thought that there might be. I'm not surprised. It will probably be an iPad event, right? Did they just do iPads? Will it be an update to other things? It's not going to be iMacs. It could be MacBooks, but they just bumped the iPad at the last event. So we will see. We will see. Y'all are like, we love Sonic. I know, I love Sonic too. All right. We used to sit next to the radio with a tape recorder. Time for fun time. I used to do that too. And you recorded them between like 2 back and forth. Our kids will never know the struggle. MacBooks. Well, it's a good time. It's been a while with MacBooks, for sure. And MacBook Pros. Absolutely. Yep. You guys are like MacBook. It's time. It's time for MacBooks. Because they just did iPad and they just bumped them. So I'm not surprised. I already ordered my new Apple Watch. And those, I don't know when mine ships, but those should be in the store on Friday. I think mine ships in like November because I wasn't on top of it. So MacBooks. Question, do you think your parents will move there? Uncovering hypocrisy? I don't know. I mean, my parents both grew up on the East Coast, so moving back to more humidity, I don't know if would be their jam, but I know that there are parts of Southern California that are getting very frustrating for them. So we will see. I didn't mean to pull out Nightbot. Carla, oh no, I've lost my members designation. No, I still see it on this end. So, all right, y'all, we have got to go. The press conference for Gabby Petito should be starting in about 15 minutes from the coroner. I am going to be following along over on Twitter. I will share that on Twitter. There will be updated information from me covering this case I just totally lost my train of thought. Covering this case for the Emily show tomorrow with a timeline, a breakdown, and some of the legal considerations and questions that I've been seeing. Again, I'm going to be following Brian Enton's coverage of this. He has been doing great coverage of this, so we will absolutely be doing it. So thank you. Y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you for being law nerds. Don't forget to do the likey, subscribey things. Don't forget to come and follow me along on the Twitters. We're at like 32,000 followers on Twitters. You are welcome to come over and follow me at the Emily D. Baker there and on Instagram. Have a wonderful Tuesday. So good to see everybody. Thank you for being law nerds. I will see you tomorrow for the Emily show, Friday for Friday Night Live. Have a wonderful week. Take care of yourselves. Thank you. Bye. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, lawnerdsunite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.